Have you ever wondered what it takes to build an high growth business? That is a business growing minimum of 100% year on year. On this episode of the business class, we'll be looking at strategies of building high growth business. But before we go, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us across all our social media platforms. You'll be glad you did.
The business class.
Let's get into this conversation. First of all, for you to build an high growth business or what we call hyper growth business, one of the things you need to focus on is niche. You need to differentiate yourself. Elon Musk, the author of Predictable Revenue, said in one of his books, From Impossible to Inevitable, that you are not actually serious about growth, right? Until you are ready to pick a niche. Nail a niche is what it's called, right? So you need to understand that you cannot be all to everyone, right? Michael Porter, the strategy guru, explains to us that there are two ways, essentially, that a company can actually attain competitive advantage. The first one on this side is price. And I'm sure you don't want to go on price war. Not even with the big guys in your industry. You don't want to play the price war. At the end of the day, it's a bloody water, it's a dead end. The other part is to actually differentiate, is to pick that niche. And there are two ways that you can actually niche. The first one is to actually be broad about it, which means, for example, maybe you are offering HR services to all industry. So as against the second one, which is to differentiate, in that instance, you have to narrow down. That one involves you niching across both verticals most of the time. Say, for example, now in the instance of an HR company specializing in probably serving transport industry or serving people in the service business, or just focusing its HR service on manufacturing business. In fact, you can even go as far as saying, okay, FMCGs, those fast-moving consumer goods, right? But the most important thing is that to actually build high-growth businesses, you must differentiate. And I like it. There are about 21 differentiators that the people at Ange Marketing, and I like it because I went through it and I liked what they're proposing. There are about 21 differentiators, and I'm going to just run through it. The details will be gotten in our upcoming webinar. It would be nice for you to actually pre-register for our webinar that is coming up. There we're going to distill all of these 21 differentiators. But just as a teaser, I'm just going to roll out some of these and try to give some practical example. The first one and the obvious one is to actually specialize in an industry. That is a no-brainer. As simple as it is, most people don't even do that. Everybody wants to actually appeal to everybody because you're fair that once you leave out an industry, for example, you might not be able to get another industry. See, in the game of differentiation, it is about opportunity costs. But at the end of the day, the uptake is bigger than the downside of it, right? So one of the differentiators might be for you to specialize in an industry. The second point from the guys at Ange Marketing is that you can actually specialize in serving specific roles within a client organization. The third actually is to specialize in offering a particular service. So for example, if you're into consulting, you don't want to offer general consulting. You might want to specialize in probably offering marketing service. So as an example. The fourth point they spoke about is offering a unique technology or a process. So maybe in the course of your experience, either as a consultant or as an employee, you have been able to look at a particular task and build a process around it that is unique to you. Maybe in the process of it, maybe you are able to achieve results faster. Maybe it saves time. Maybe actually you got into it by being frustrated about that process. So now you might want to master that process so that people facing similar challenges can actually use the process, right? Or the technology. So, and that's one of the things that can make a business to scale. For example, if you're into a service business, particularly professional service, you might want to take a process and turn it into a technology, probably building a SaaS product or any form of platform or a software, even maybe an offline software that people can actually install and that can make their work to be easy. Another way you can differentiate is to actually probably focus on a particular target audience. So for example, you might want to be a B2C, which is business to consumer. Or you might actually even want to be a B2B. That's business to business, which means in that instance, you are only serving businesses. You don't deal directly with consumer. There's another one, you can actually be a B2G, which is business to government. That means you only do business with the government. So again, you can pick your kill depending on what works for you. Another ways you can differentiate is to probably specialize by serving clients of a certain size. So for example, you might actually focus on enterprise solution or serving corporations. You might want to serve maybe small businesses, or you might want to serve medium scale businesses, so it depends. Or for example, as a B2C concern, you might want to do micro loans, which is you're actually targeting people at the lower end of the socioeconomic class. Or you might actually want to target upwardly mobile people and give them more loans, so in that sense, you can identify them, you can give them more loans, for example. So you can give loans maybe up to 20 million as against maybe running a microcredit scheme that is only applicable to probably people that are doing micro businesses or people at the lower end of the ladder, right? Another point that they spoke about is to actually, differentiate, maybe focusing on a specific business challenge. So for example, rather than broadly, attend to the issue of maybe marketing broadly as an example, you might want to look at probably solving lead generation, or you can pick social media, or you can pick, advertising or PR, So you might want to look at a specific challenge in the marketplace and say, okay, this is what I want to specialize, provided there's enough pain points in that sector and there's a critical mass of clients that are willing to pay for it. The other way you can actually differentiate to build a high growth business is to actually maybe turn the service model or the business model on its head, right? So for example, maybe in the industry that you operate, the normal way you get rewarded is being paid on hourly rate, as an example, or they pay you per project. You might want to turn it into the head and say, okay, for us, we actually collect money once we achieve our objective with the client, a pre-agreed, pre-signed objective. That means you are using reward-based model. So, or for example, you might want to turn it, maybe you might want to say you want to use a subscription model or a retainership model. When clients signs, and they can actually opt in and opt out. So that might be a unique way of differentiating by offering unique business model as against what is commonly known in the industry. 12th point they raise is that you might actually want to have a geographic focus. This is particularly applicable for tech companies. So for example, you see a lot of all these cab hailing services, or it could even be maybe a fintech, offering this. So they start from Lagos or from Ibadan or from Abuja, depending on how they want to go it. And eventually, they can actually scale into all the state of the country. So what you want to look out for is which location will actually give me the best return or actually works for this stage of my business. The 13th way you can actually differentiate your business is to offer information that are not easily accessible to anybody, anywhere, right? Talking about custom information that people can have access to. A lot of people in the financial service industry might want to take advantage of this. One of the leading player in this is Bloomberg. So for example, you can have access to data on their platform, on their portal. Of course, there's a paywall to it. There's a login to it. You can't just access it. So especially for industry that needs lots of data. Data, like they say, is the new oil, right? So you want to provide a platform where people can actually access unique information that is not commonplace. Another point they raised is to offer unique set of contract and relationship not easily accessible. So I will skip that and go to the next point. Closely related to the other point, you can actually offer some set of unique relationship that is not accessible, like that. So for example, that is also very good in coaching business or in online education business, where in addition to maybe, a general info that they can get and access anytime, you can actually offer one-to-one coaching or some customized access, where they can have access to you or have access to some certain relationship. So for example, you can have a mastermind section, a situation where they can access what you call the mastermind, maybe a group of people that actually are going through the same issues or trying to solve the same problem or have achieved the same kind of result they are hoping to achieve. Another point is to offer a truly distinctive level of service. Now you need to be careful here. Everybody will want to talk about the fact that they are the best in customer service. They are the best in this and that. One of the things about this is that talk is cheap. you have to offer a distinct level of customer service, and it has to be trackable within and outside. It has to be very visible. If you're saying you are the fastest, we should be able to check and scientifically verify that you're actually the fastest offering that service. You can actually distinguish yourself by choosing the kind of clients that you serve. So for example, in US, you can talk about Fortune 100, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, But in Nigeria and in other places, maybe you can latch on the fact that you actually deal with high network clients, as an example, or maybe you sell, like our agency, we deal exclusively with companies that actually do high ticket sales. So that's services above 100 grand price point, or a customer spending 1 million naira within the 12 calendar month. That's how we define it. So you can actually distinguish yourself by the kind of clients or kind of customers that you serve. Another point is that you can actually distinguish yourself by the size of your company. Maybe, for example, you've heard about the one customer bank, right? Or some people will latch on the fact that they are the largest, maybe the largest in Africa, the largest in Nigeria. That's talking about size. That's talking about, competence. That's talking about being extensive. So you can leverage on that if you already have that as an advantage. Remember, in choosing how to distinguish yourself, the thing is that you can actually be aspirational. You can use the aspirational approach, which means you are not there yet, but you have identified gaps in the market and you want to become that kind of company. Another thing you can do is to check what exists, maybe what you have done well in the past, what clients have commended you on, or some unique set of competencies that you have, and you might want to build from that. So that's like the inside-out approach. The previous one I spoke about is the outside-in. That means you identify a pain point in the marketplace. You've seen that you can actually distinguish yourself along those parameters. As a company, you are going to reposition yourself to actually be that company that solves that kind of problem. Another way you can differentiate yourself is to focus on notable, significant accomplishment. Maybe you have been voted the best company before in your sector or in your industry, or there's a unique achievement that you have made. Maybe you've been on the cover of Forbes or Fortune or whatever. You can actually leverage on that and showcase that. So you've seen, especially this works in the context of solopreneurs. Solopreneurs can take advantage of this particularly. Or maybe you've actually, done interviews on major media platforms in the country. So you can leverage on that and use that as one of your differentiator, provided it can appeal to your prospective clients. You can actually provide a unique set of results for a client. That's one of the ways to actually differentiate, which means at the end of the day, there's a clear deliverable that a client expects, and you've done it over and over again, and it's predictable, right? So for example, in our agency, we call ourselves the predictable revenue company. So what we aspire to become is a company where when you come, an X amount gives you an exact X amount. Scientific, and it's clear to all, both to us and to the client, right? For a comprehensive list of these 21 differentiator, try and check below. It's all there, right? And I'm going to be talking about it extensively in our forthcoming webinar. You can't afford to miss it. Go to our website now to pre-register. Before we go, let me quickly tell you how exactly to proceed from here. Now you know all the 21 differentiator. What you need to do is to actually do a soul search to see the one that resonates with you. It can involve some form of experimentation. But remember, you can now not choose all. It's not possible, right? You can't be jack of all trades, right? You have to pick the ones that actually will appeal to your prospective clients, and the one that you actually have core competence for, or the one you are committing to build core competence on. So guys, you need to get that. And after you must have done that, you need to check it against the marketplace to know exactly if there are pain points in this area and you have a unique solution. So guys, that is it on this topic of differentiating yourself and picking a niche. But you cannot afford to miss the next topic in this series of building hypergrowth companies. And that's why you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn notification on so you know when we drop the content. Follow us across all our social media platforms. You'll be glad you did. Catch ya.